Hi folks, Rich from Taylor Guitars. I'm here at Kraft Music Studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. What I want to talk to you about right now are some body shapes that Taylor Guitars offers. You know, we have 5 different body shapes, and you might kind of be asking yourself, I don't get it, it's just a guitar. What's the deal with all these different shapes? The 5 different body shapes are composed of a concert size, an auditorium, a symphony, a dreadnought, and an orchestra. What those mean to you is different types of sounds and different volumes of sound. Also different ways that you can attack the guitar and play the guitar. So let's kind of dive into this a little deeper. If we start with a baseline guitar of a dreadnought, that's the guitar size and shape that most people are comfortable knowing about. If you think about what does an acoustic guitar look like, you're thinking of a dreadnought. Dreadnought is going to have your lower bout here. It's going to have a pushed waist, and here is your upper bout right here. A lot of history with this guitar, going back over 100 years. If you think about what an acoustic guitar sounds like, you're thinking of what this guitar sounds like right here, all right? Now, Taylor Guitars came out with what's called an auditorium guitar. If you're looking at our Taylor numbers, anything that ends in a 4 is going to be a grand auditorium. Anything that ends in a 0 is going to be a dreadnought. So a 410 dreadnought. The next body shape we're going to talk about is our auditorium. Now, this is pretty much what put Taylor Guitars on the map because Bob came up with this guitar back in the early 90s, and it won every award possible. And the reason that it did was what it did for the guitar community. If you remember what that dreadnought looked like, it didn't have its waist cut in as deep as this one does. What this ends up doing is it gives the mid-range a little bit more of a push. You know, guitar chords have changed over the years. I mean, if you think about the way the dreadnought was designed to go to battle against like mandolins and banjos because we needed a guitar with volume. Because remember, back in those days, we didn't have PA systems. Well, now we do, and the guitar is being used with different chordal structures and different types of playing styles. So the auditorium tends to push those out a little bit more. So whether you're a fingerstyle player or you hit with a pick, the auditorium could be the guitar for you. The next body shape we're going to talk about is our Grand Symphony. And as far as our numbers go, anything that ends in a 6 is going to be a Grand Symphony. Now, why does this body shape exist? I want you to remember everything we talked about with the auditorium. This guitar is the next phase of that. So as Bob talked to a lot of the people that were using the auditorium, and he's asking, how do you like it? Is it working for you? How's it going? Bob, we love the auditorium. What we would like to have next to add to our arsenal and our guitar collection is a guitar that might have a larger push in the lower end, maybe a little bit louder. And here it is. The Grand Symphony takes what the Grand Auditorium did and it shifted to the next gear. By having a little bit larger lower bout and changing the design of the waist, we were able to push more low frequencies out and also get a guitar that's louder. This guitar has an unbelievable volume projection that has to be heard to be believed. So anything that ends in a 6 is going to be a symphony. If you're a real heavy-hitting right-hand person, and you know who you are, this is the guitar shape that you're probably going to be most satisfied with. The next body shape is our Grand Concert. So if you're doing our numbering system, anything that ends in a 2 is going to be a Grand Concert. Now, the Grand Concerts from Taylor can come in a couple of different ways. They can come to you with or without a cutaway. They can come to you with a 12 fret or a 14 fret. And again, where the neck meets the body is either going to be at the 12th fret or at the 14th fret. So why does the concert guitar exist? Interestingly enough, you might be under the impression that if you have a great big band, that you need to have the biggest guitar possible because you need to be heard. I'm going to take you down a different path on that. I want you to think about a pizza. And if you're a solo artist, you're the whole band, and you can eat the whole pizza. But if you're in a band with multitudes of people, you need to find the space, the sonic space in the band where your guitar fits. Let me tell you something that you guys probably don't know. If you play, whether you play in a big band, a worship band, or whatever it is, you have a guy called a sound engineer. And if you have a piano player, and you have a bass player, and you have a drummer, here's what this guy is doing. He's pulling all of your low end out, and he's possibly pulling out a lot of your high end because the guitar needs to fit into the mix. You don't have to do that with this guitar. This guitar is perfect for that application. This is your slice of the pizza. that fits in amazingly well. Your sound engineer loves these guitars. Recording engineers love these guitars because they absolutely fit where they need to be. Now we're going to go down another spectrum. You're just sitting in your home. You need a comfortable guitar to play. This is the most comfortable guitar to play because of its size. Now you might be thinking, yeah, but it's small and it's probably not real loud. You'd be wrong again, sorry. Because the way that the physics of a guitar works is that in order to get volume out of a guitar, what you need to do is get the top to vibrate. Let's go back in time here a little bit. Remember that an acoustic guitar is a guitar with an amplifier. An electric guitar is a guitar that needs an amplifier. The box of the guitar is your amplifier, and the top is your speaker. Now, in order to get sound, you need vibration. The smaller the top I have, the less vibration I need to get the top moving to produce volume. So arguably enough, this guitar is the loudest guitar we make given the amount of energy we give it. So if you're sitting in your home and you just want to play softly with your fingerstyle, perfect guitar. If you want to take this guitar with a flat pick and play some chords, great guitar. If you want to do some home recording and you're going to put a microphone in front of it, absolutely perfect guitar, because as this guitar moves around on the axis, your microphone doesn't care. So if you're in one place for over an hour, you can comfortably play this guitar. What am I trying to tell you here? This guitar should be in everybody's collection. It certainly is in mine and most everybody that works at Taylor, all right? So this is kind of the unsung hero of the guitar shapes, and that's the concert size. So anything that ends in a 2. All right, the last body shape we're going to talk about today is our grand orchestra. This is going to be anything that ends in an 8. And these body shapes start at our 400 series and go on up from there. Some people will say, oh, this is your jumbo guitar. And we can say, okay, all right, if you want to call it that, but really it's different than a jumbo in a couple of different ways. So let's try to dive in a little deeper on this one. One of the things that Bob Taylor wanted to always do was to revoice the jumbo. And, you know, without talking too much about jumbo guitars in general, jumbo guitars have a specific reason to exist. They're loud guitars. They're big guitars. They're arguably the largest guitar that we make. They're also the thickest guitar that we make. Now, what does this guitar exist for? It exists for hitting and playing some great big open chords and things like that. And most jumbo guitars always sounded great at this part of the fretboard, but they would tend to lose energy as you moved up the fretboard. And that's one of the things that Bob always wanted to fix. He always felt that the jumbo guitar, the jumbo type guitar, should be more like a grand piano. And think about a piano for a minute here. You've got really low notes, you have really high notes, and you had great big strings on the low end and little tiny strings on the top end. But when you hit each one, you needed each one to be the same volume. Now, physically, that's really hard to do if you think about that. So this was a big job to do. You know, guitars, like I talked to you about before, acoustic guitars are they are guitars with a built-in amplifier. All right, so now I need this big string and this little string to try to react the best and at the same volume that we can to make the guitar sound balanced. If you also remember when we talked about the concert size, we said that the amount of real estate on the top, you had to get this vibrating in order to make a lot of sound. So now you've got a counterintuitive thing going on where I got to make this high E string sound as loud as the low E string, but I have to make this great big top resonate. And that all becomes part of the bracing, all right? So Andy Powers, who is our head luthier, had to come up with a way of doing that. And we don't have enough time in this video to go through all of the reasons and how he came up with the new bracing system of how this works. But let me tell you what ended up happening. You now have a jumbo guitar that you not only can hit with a flat pick, but you can also play fingerstyle. And for those of you that already own jumbos, that's not a feat that is easily accomplished, because the guitar bracing doesn't know how to transfer the energy of a light touch. Ours does. So why do I need this in my collection? Well, because you can actually play fingerstyle all the way up. You can take this guitar to any gig you want and play any style of music you want confidently. all right? So this fits really well into our body shapes. So this guitar is going to end in an 8. So what I'm holding right now is a 718, so our grand orchestra. If you want to call it a jumbo, please don't. It's a grand orchestra. So thanks very much.